everyone, and welcome to card 1 of my Mother's Day series. So I started off with some basic gray. This is the Prairie 6x6 pattern paper. And then this die is from My Favorite Things. It was for it's called the Vertical Greetings die. And then my stamp set I'm using is my All About Mom stamp set. And I'm using a stamp positioner so that I can get, because I'm going to use 2 different stamps on this same piece of die cut cardstock. So I use the stamp positioner to get everything exactly how I want it. I usually eyeball things like this, but this time I just thought I'd use a positioner so that you guys could see how it's used, and plus it just makes it easier and faster rather than trying to get everything lined up. So I inked up and stamped the mom with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And then I want to stamp the Happy Mother's Day below that. So I get it lined up with the stamp positioner. And then get this piece into place, just like so. And then same thing, inked it up with the VersaFine Onyx Black. And then stamp that just like so, so it's perfect. And then I have a little tiny strip of the pattern paper. So I just adhered that with my ATG adhesive. And then just flipped it over and used my detail cutting scissors to trim it around the curved edges of the die so that it matches up nicely like so. And then I decided to pull up my corner chomper and edge the bottom corners of the card front. So I did that with the 1-piece paper, and then I did it with the pattern piece of paper, and then adhered them together. It's actually going to be a fairly simple card today. No detailed coloring, no Copics, just pattern paper and sentiments. So once I've got kind of my layout figured out, adhered the 3rd piece of pattern paper. And then the die cut piece, I just used my paper trimmer just to trim off the left side of it. And then I decided I was going to sponge the edges. So I'm just using Stampin' Up's Old Olive ink and a sponge dauber. Since my card base is going to be Stampin' Up's Old Olive cardstock, some things are a little bit matching. And then I've got a piece of purple ribbon. This was just in my ribbon drawer. It's just, yeah, purple satin ribbon. And I just like the color. It kind of went nicely with the pattern paper. So tied that in a bow, got it into place. And then this main sentiment of the card, I popped it up with dimensionals just so it stood out a little bit more. And then finally, just for the last little bit of embellishments, I'm just going to use some Prima flowers from my stash. And I have the basic gray Plumeria, the vintage buttons. So I just chose 1 button from the pack. And all those buttons are sewed onto the cardstock it comes on. It's kind of a pain. So you have to like slice them off just to get them out of the packaging. I don't like how they package them. But I do love the buttons. They're really pretty. So I chose just 1 for this card. Sewed the button on with just string from... I think I bought the string at Walmart. Like, I've had it for ever, decades. Like, it's old as hills. Anyway, it's just string. So, sewed the button onto the card, and then the remaining flowers I just attached with some green brads from my stash. And I attached a couple little orange ones, just to kind of pull out, so there's some little orange in the pattern paper. So I thought I'd add that to the card just for a little pop of color. And then put some tape on the ribbons so that the ATG glides over it. And then I'm just going to adhere this to the card itself, which again, grabbed my little corner chomper and rounded the bottom edges of the card. Quick and simple. And then I adhered that to the card itself. And that's all there was to it for the card front. Really simple. Just like so. And then for the inside of the card, I just chose the striped pattern paper. And then the purple strip that was left over from cutting the card front. And then, of course, rounded the bottom corners of the pattern paper. And then for the sentiment, I chose another verse from the All About Mom set and used the stamp positioner again, just so that I could get it lined up nice and straight onto the piece of paper. So once I've got that, wipe off the excess ink on the stamp positioner, because otherwise it gets all over my hands and I just make a huge mess. So get everything lined up and ink it, and just because I know I'll get asked, my nails are gel, they're not nail polish. I gave myself a fill a few days ago, so they're gel. Anyway, adhered all the blah blah blah, I can't talk today. I adhered all the pieces onto the inside part of the card, and then added the little sentiment strip, which I'd also rounded the top of just so that everything kind of flows together. And then I'm going to adhere this to the inside of the card, and that's all there was to it. So as always, there'll be a link to my blog post with links to all the supplies. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!